This video, I want to show you the different techniques of factoring polynomials. When we're factoring polynomials, the first thing that we want to do is to find out if the terms have a common monomial factor. If they do, then we factor out that common monomial factor. Now, by inspection, for x to the fourth and negative 20x squared have a common factor of 4x squared. So we have to factor out 4x squared. Now we have to figure out what expression we multiply to 4x squared to get the product 4x to the fourth minus 20x squared. And I think it's easier to figure that out if we divide each term by the greatest common monomial factor. So 4x to the fourth divided by 4x squared is x squared minus 20x squared divided by 4x squared is 5. So now we found the factors. Now, we know that these are the factors because when we multiply 4x squared times x squared, that's going to give us 4x to the fourth, and 4x squared times negative 5 will give us negative 20x squared. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Notice that 2, 10, and 8 have a common factor of 2. Now, the first term has x to the fourth, second x squared, and the third term does not have an x. Therefore, the greatest common monomial factor is simply 2. So now let's find the expression that we multiply to 2 to get this trinomial. And so to do that, let's just divide each term by the greatest common monomial factor 2. So this becomes 2x to the fourth divided by 2 is x to the fourth minus, the next one is 5x squared, and then positive 4. We found the factors. We factored out the greatest common monomial factor. All right, the next polynomial. By inspection, 6 and 5 have a common factor of 1. Then x and x squared have a common factor of x. So therefore, the greatest common monomial factor is 1x, or simply x. The expression inside the parentheses is 6x divided by x is 6 minus 5x squared divided by x is 5x. So we just found a monomial factor and another expression that gives us the product 6x minus 5x squared. Now, sometimes when we factor out the monomial factor, the expression that we have in the parentheses, inside the parentheses, looks like this. Looks like a quadratic trinomial. Now, how do we factor quadratic trinomials? We can think of the quadratic trinomial as the area of a rectangle. And we know that to get the area of the rectangle, we multiply the length by the width. So if we can find the length and the width of the rectangle that gives this area, then we have found the factors of this expression. So let's find the length and the width of the rectangle with area x squared minus 5x minus 14. So I need to have my rectangle here. Okay. X squared goes in this box, in this section region 1. Negative 14 goes to region 4. That's right, region 4. And in our past exercises, we noticed that when we multiply x squared times negative 14, it is equal to the product of region 2 and region 3. So we notice that we're missing 2 boxes here. There's no number in these 2 boxes. We don't know yet what they are. But what we know is that when we multiply them, the product is the same as negative 14x squared. And when we add them, we will get negative 5x as the sum. So now we need to find out what we multiply to get negative 14x squared, and when we add them, we get negative 5x. So that's going to be negative 7x times 2x. We know that this is going to give us a product of negative 14x squared, but when we add negative 7x plus 2x, it's going to give us negative 5x. So now we know what goes in these empty boxes or empty parts of the rectangle. So I'm going to put here negative 7x, and here I'm going to put positive 2x. And then we look at the first column and see what is common among the first column. And we notice that they both have x. The greatest common monomial factor for the coefficients is 1. So the greatest common factor in the first column is x. After we figure out this, we know how to find out the other parts of the length and the width. So what do we multiply the x to get x squared? And we know that that's going to be x. What do we multiply to x to get negative 7x? That's going to be negative 7. And what do we multiply to x to get positive 2x? That's going to be positive 2. So now we found the length and the width of the rectangle. Therefore, we found the area, not the area, but the factors of the trinomial. And the factors are the length and the width. So I'm going to put here x minus 7 times x plus 2. Now, let's try the same process for this next one. Okay, first term goes here, and last term goes in region 4. Now, we know that the missing two parts will have a product of 3x squared times 4, which is 12x squared, and a sum of negative 8x. So this is the sum. When we add these two, that's what we get for the sum. All right, so what do we multiply to get 12x squared and add to negative 8x? So that's going to be negative 6x times negative 2x. Then we put them here. Okay. We look at the first column, or any you can look at a column or a row and look for the common factor. So I'm going to look at the first column, and I notice that the common factor among the first column is x, and so what do I multiply to x to get 3x squared? That's going to be 3x. What do we multiply to 3x to get negative 6x? That's going to be minus 2. And what do we multiply to x to get negative 2x? That's going to be minus 2. So is this correct? X times 3x squared, negative 6x, negative 2x, positive 4. So we found the factors, and that's going to be x minus 2 for the length, and the width is 3x minus 2. We may interchange the length and the width. Okay, last example. This is not a quadratic trinomial because the highest exponent is 6, but it looks like a quadratic trinomial because the degree is 6 of the first term, and the second term is half of 6, just like the first two examples that we did. So we can factor it the same way. We need to find the length and the width of the rectangle. So we'll put 2x to the 6 in here and negative 3 here, and it follows the same process.